Here we are again at Marco Lerock TV. So excited today to interview Lisa Tonjes Moritz. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
You are a professional organizer,
Yes.
an entrepreneur. So tell me a bit, what is a professional organizer? I'm trying to confuse you like professional organizer, community organizer, I should say.
Right. A lot of people ask, do I organize events? So I go into people's homes or businesses and help them get their space organized or their files, whether that's paper or digital, and make their life easier, hopefully.
Okay. One that I struggle a lot with, if you look at my computer right now, which I don't want you to look at, I think is a mess. Like, I have file like all over, and then on top of that, I have like, different flash drive and all those drive, So what is your advice, for someone like me? How can I stay organized, put all those stuff like into place? So,
Well, it would be a good idea to always say that you have one hub that's your main place, and my specialty is helping people with their photos, and so I'm kind of relating it to that. So if you've got, maybe you have a desktop and a laptop and an iPad,
which I have, we have all those. You have a phone, an iPad, a laptop, and a desktop, yeah.
I will say I'm a big fan of Dropbox.
Okay.
Or there's other programs like that. I personally love Dropbox, where I can have everything is in there. It can sync to all my devices.
Okay.
I think it's also good to have a file structure within there, whether that's, I'm guessing you probably keep business and personal files on the same computer. A lot of people do.
I do. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna deny that. I do, yeah.
And so then making folders for business for each part of your life, and then sorting things in there. But the important thing is to get it all into one place, and then maybe there's some old files that you could put in an archive and put on an external hard drive that you don't need on a regular basis. But it's good to always get things in one place so you know what all you have.
So have you seen people still have like, the paper files, all around? You see people have like a stack of like paper for like, 1978. And so what do you advise? You recommend people to scan all those stuff and put in the computer, or where do you go from there?
First, it's not always cost effective for people to go back and scan everything, maybe slowly. But if you decide you want to go kind of paperless, which I'm a huge fan of, because you say, I need to see your tax return from 2010. I could literally pull it up in Dropbox on my phone. I think it's easier to just start with we're still just barely into the second quarter of 2017. So you could say my starting date is January 1, and maybe go back to there and scan things if you decide you want to go that. And then you can slowly add into that. But I wouldn't recommend necessarily going in and scanning all
everything,
of the old files.
So is it like, one basic organizing principle that apply to everyone that you can share with us?
I would say that's keeping things together. And when I mean that is, as we're just talking about papers, it's if your personal papers, I keep this here and I keep this at the office and I keep this somewhere else, is one example of that, papers. Or even it can be as simple as keeping all your long sleeve shirts together in the closet and all your shoes in one place. Because I know people, there's shoes by the back door, there's shoes in their closet, there's shoes in their bedroom. If you keep things together, it's easier to find things.
Yes, that's true.
And to have a better awareness of what you do have.
Okay. So in your opinion, what is a common mistake that you have seen people making when they're trying to organize or reorganize things, like maybe in the office or in the computer stuff?
The biggest thing with people with the organizing spaces, not so much with their computer, but with spaces, is they like, I went out and I got these bins, or I got these totes, or different organizing supplies. So I went to the Container Store and I got all these things. Well, if they haven't already done the organizing process and purging process, then maybe it's not the right product for them. You know, maybe they don't. And, you know, sometimes, yes, you can return things, but wouldn't it be better to figure out what you need before you go and purchase? And I would say 90% of the time with my clients, they already have stuff. They don't need to go buy new stuff.
So you're talking about the supplies, so the supply that you need to use to get stuff organized.
Right.
Okay.
They already have something in their home that we repurpose to organize their stuff in.
Yeah. So as we're talking about supplies, you know, demand is a cost. So how can people save money when they're trying to get organized, for instance?
Well, they can save money because if they're organized, they're going to be able to find, oh, I know I have this special scissors or whatever, but if they can't find it, they go and buy another one.
Exactly.
Or, I mean, there's multiple things like that, that if they're, they go out and buy another one because they can't find what they have. Other ways they can actually make money by getting organized is, one, by selling things.
By get rid of things, right?
Right, there's so many things like that. But also, if you clean out your guest bedroom, maybe you can rent it on Airbnb. Or if you keep your car clean and organized, maybe you can drive for Uber or Lyft and make a little extra money.
Okay. So what are some like the apps or website you can recommend to somebody like me who want to be as neat as possible, be organized? If I want to find this file, I can just like, hey, I don't know what is that.
One, I already mentioned Dropbox. Big fan of Dropbox. I'm also a big fan of anything that it's an app and you can access from the website, so that you're not always having to do it from your phone. There's several different kind of to-do project management apps I like. One is called Todoist.
Todoist?
Ist, yeah, Todoist. That's the one I personally used. Easy just to mark off things. You can, say, I'm going to do it tomorrow instead of drawing lines or.
So is it like a free app?
It's a free app.
Okay.
I personally use the premium, which is like $25 a year. Another good free one, though, is Asana for project management. I've used that one also. I also like a website called Toggl, which is Toggl.
Toggl?
And it tracks your time. And I track my time because I have to track client hours.
Yes.
But I also track my time for a lot of other things to make me realize how much time it really takes for me to, whether it's how much time are you really spending doing
organizing
emails,
also sending,
and so it allows you to manage your time better because you realize, wow, last week I spent 5 hours on email or whatever, and maybe it allows you to focus more on what's important. Big fan of Google Calendar because of the fact that it's free, it's easy to share. I do realize a lot of people still like a paper calendar, but I would highly recommend using Google and then printing off each week so that you can repeat or share. For small business owners that drive around a lot, there's one called Mile IQ.
I heard about it.
That I'm a big fan of for tracking mileage.
That's pretty cool. So let's talk about photos, which is your specialty, So let's say you come to me, for instance, which I have my picture all over. I take picture all the time. Some of them on my phone, some of them on iPad, some of them on my, laptop or my desktop. What are the first steps? What do you do with somebody like me?
The first step was to gather all of those devices, whether it's electronics or it's the peripherals like the SD cards or the flash drives, and take all of the photos from each one and have one main computer that you transfer them on. You just dump them into a folder that's photos. And then after we get them all there, we begin the organizing process. With digital photos, you can do a lot by just looking at the dates and getting them sorted by date, with the hopes that your computer or your camera, I'm sorry, was set to the right date, because that can always throw. That's the big thing, is a reminder to people is to always make sure you check your camera time and date. And then I would divide by year and then by event. So maybe you have pictures from your daughter's birthday on your phone, on your wife's phone, on your camera, and then you can put them all into that same folder, and again, hope they all have the same date. And
then one of the challenges is like, so let's say that computer crash or you lose your phone. So do you recommend that as like a backup to like to iCloud or whatever? I mean,
in the industry, we recommend 3 backups.
3 backups.
Right.
Why?
Because you just never know what can happen. So one would be on your computer. That could be your, that's your basic place for them. And then maybe you have them also backed up onto an external hard drive. And then I always recommend at least, I think, one kind of cloud backup, whether that's iCloud or a company I like to work with called Forever or Dropbox or any of these, because heaven forbid, if something happens to your house, both the computer, like, fire, tornado, whatever, and the computer goes, the external hard drive goes, you don't have to worry about your photos because they're saved offsite.
They're secure somewhere else,
And I've heard of people saying, oh, I'll give a family member or someone an external hard drive. Well, how often are you updating that? So if you did that a year ago and something happens, then you've just lost everything that's happened in the last year. It's just a lot easier to keep up. And I personally use an automatic backup called Backblaze.
Backblaze. So it seems like there's so many apps and tools out there that can help people, like, stay organized and stuff. So we're gonna focus the second half of the interview on you. I was gonna some personal questions. So what is the latest book that you have read recently?
I am currently reading, it's 10 Times, and it's part of a book club I'm in.
It's called 10 Times?
10 Times, like 10X.
The Grant Cardone?
Yes.
Okay. I know it very well. That's a very good, a great book. Awesome.
So that's what I'm reading right now.
Cool. So if you were left on a desert, like on an island somewhere, what would you take with you? One thing.
One thing?
Yes.
See, I always go back to my photos, but how do I take all of them with me? I can take them on an external hard drive, but if I don't have a computer and I don't have power, then what do I can only take one thing, and there's nobody else there. I'd probably take a picture with my husband and my son in it.
Okay, that's pretty good. What was the latest event you have attended?
Week before last, I was at the APO conference in Cleveland, which is the Association of Personal Photo Organizers.
Interesting. So what was the highlight of that conference?
From the main stage of it, they did an organizing project from start to finish.
Okay.
And it's the client was actually one of the leaders of the group, and it was kind of reassuring that though we are all somewhat organized on our own stuff, sometimes you put your client stuff first. So she was actually hiring an organizer, someone else to come in and get her photos organized.
That's pretty interesting.
So it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
If you had to make one change in the world right now, what would that be?
Well, I just like everyone to get along. So
everyone to get along. Okay, that's pretty good one.
I don't know, that's kind of a really, really big change, but.
Yeah. What will be your last tips or advice to my viewers when it comes to get organized?
Realize you're not going to organize your whole life in a day, and it's a continual process, so don't think you have to do all at once, right? Because you're trying to organize everything, like I'm gonna get this done, and then you get frustrated. So just take step by steps and get it done. Cool. Lisa, thank you so much for your time and sharing your tips on how to get organized. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment below and subscribe to our show somewhere here so you don't miss any content.